Hello everyone, and welcome back to Kryx Wrestling. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most shocking and emotional returns in WWE history, the complete story of CM Punk's return. If you are new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss any of our videos. Now, without further delay, let's start the video. November 25th, 2023. Allstate Arena, Chicago, Illinois. The War Games match has just ended. The crowd is still buzzing, and then a static, a single guitar riff. The kind that doesn't just play through speakers, it travels through a decade of absence, through years of resentment, through broken contracts and courthouse battles and burned bridges. And when CM Punk walked through that curtain into his hometown, into the company that fired him on his wedding day, the arena didn't just cheer, it shook. To understand why that moment hit the way it did, you have to go back to the beginning. Phil Brooks, known to the world as CM Punk, signed with WWE in 2005. He was assigned to Ohio Valley Wrestling, the developmental territory at the time. Within a year, he moved to the relaunched ECW brand and became its champion. By 2008, he was on Monday Night Raw, and by 2011, he was the second biggest star in the entire company. The summer of 2011 became his defining moment. On June 27th, on a live edition of Raw, Punk sat at the top of the entrance ramp with a microphone and said everything that wrestling fans had been thinking, but no performer had ever dared to say on live television. He criticized Vince McMahon. He named The Rock and John Cena. He called out Triple H. He said the WWE Championship meant nothing when held by the wrong people. By 2013, Punk was working through injuries that would have sidelined most performers. Broken ribs, bad knees, multiple concussions, including one sustained during the 2014 Royal Rumble match itself. A staph infection on his side that, by his own account, WWE medical staff repeatedly refused to surgically address despite his requests. He later described the condition as debilitating. Unable to train, unable to sleep, physically depleted after every single match. At the January 26th, 2014 Royal Rumble in Pittsburgh, Punk entered the match first. He told himself he would change WWE management's minds with a performance so strong that they would have no choice but to put him in the WrestleMania main event. He lasted over 50 minutes. He was eventually eliminated by Kane, a man who had already been eliminated earlier in the match, pulling Punk over the ropes from the outside. On the drive to Cleveland the next morning for Raw, something broke. Punk told Vince McMahon he was going home, and he meant it permanently. What followed was not a quiet exit. WWE continued to advertise him for events. His merchandise remained on sale. And on June 13th, 2014, his wedding day to fellow WWE star AJ Lee, a FedEx envelope arrived at his home. Inside were termination papers, fired for breach of contract. Punk believed the timing was deliberate and calculated. Vince McMahon would later publicly apologize, calling it an administrative coincidence. Punk never accepted that explanation. On August 20th, 2021, that changed. All Elite Wrestling, WWE's primary competitor, aired a special episode of Rampage from Chicago. The crowd knew something was coming. When CM Punk walked out to his entrance theme, the reaction was the kind that only happens once or twice in a generation. Grown adults cried. 7 years of silence ended in a single moment. he was two-time AEW World Champion within his first year. But the backstage problems followed him. A post-show media scrum after All Out 2022 turned into a public explosion. Punk called out colleagues by name, accused management of leaking stories, and reignited old grievances. He was suspended. He returned. And then, on August 27, 2023, at All In, AEW's record-breaking show at Wembley Stadium in front of over 80,000 fans, a backstage altercation with wrestler Jack Perry became the final chapter. The specific trigger was a dispute over whether Perry would use real glass in a match spot. Perry made a comment about it during his match on the pre-show. Punk confronted him backstage. The physical altercation that followed ended CM Punk's time in AEW permanently. Within 2 weeks, AEW terminated his contract with cause. CM Punk's return to WWE was not just a wrestling moment. It was the conclusion of a decade-long story involving lawsuits, medical controversies, 2 promotions, 1 wedding, and a level of personal grievance that had never before been aired so publicly in the history of professional wrestling. He came back, not because bridges were fully rebuilt, but because the people involved were finally different enough, and the circumstances right enough, for the impossible to become real. The best in the world had come home. Whether that home would hold, that was a story still being written.